Why Jockey? Why at this point in your career, for your big debut, to make this movie with some pretty talented people?
It came from a place of just, I felt like I knew this world, and I felt like it hadn't been represented on screen as it is. I felt like we'd gotten a lot of Disney movie versions of this world, but that didn't feel right. And then it was this really like, of how to do it as a debut. Once Greg and I started developing it and trying to figure it out, it was always like a mystery of how do you give it this documentary feel, but then also have it be a narrative film. And when we were trying to figure that out of how do you blend in some actors with first time actors and people from the track, we were so lucky to get this cast who could carry these amazing scenes by themselves that are just show-stopping scenes, but then also really lose themselves and disappear into moments and not overshadow someone or make someone uncomfortable who's never acted before in front of a camera.
Awesome, thank you. Clifton, with over 70 feature film credits, very busy man over the last 20 years. Probably your gift to cinema is on the screen with us now in your performance in Jockey. How did you get to a place where you could portray Jackson Silva in a way that you felt comfortable and could prepare accurately for?
Well, thank you for that, first of all. And secondly, honestly, it's just being embraced by the community, being able to get there 2 weeks early and having that collaborative relationship with both Greg and Clint Quidar, or Greg Quidar and Clint Bentley.
We just met yesterday.
So I have a problem with names, unless they're scripted. So we were very fortunate and to be embraced by the whole community. So I spent every day with the jockeys and adapting their lifestyle and doing the things that they did, with the exceptions of flipping. I did think at one point I should at least try flipping once. And then I just kind of opted out. I think I told you. Every day I was like, should I flip today? Should I flip today? And it's this thing what jockeys do when they're not dieting, they can't make weight. The veterans can literally just go to the toilet without a finger and just vomit. So they still like to eat and taste the food. So they'll do that because they just don't want to deprive themselves of the taste, but they'll vomit it up and then go order some more food. But I kind of like my teeth, so.
That's amazing. Thank you. Molly. Sorry you had to follow that up just right away like that, but it's what we do here. You are sparring with Clifton Collins Jr. on screen for a lot of the movie in terms of just going deep in the way we see actors do very often, making yourself vulnerable, really bringing a character to life. How did you prep for this, and how was it kind of having that back and forth exchanges with Clifton and the rest of the cast and Moises?
I mean, it was such a pleasure. I can't even tell you. You know, it's rare that you get an opportunity to do work in this kind of way. You know, so often we're in this sort of system of how we make films, and it's big, and there's trailers, and there's all kinds of things that need to happen before you actually get to the work. And there was very little of that. And these filmmakers are, you know, one of their real talents is that they can create that space to do that work in. So by the time I arrived, they had found a female trainer who I got to hang out with and learn the ropes from and get up at 4 in the morning and feed the horses. And this guy was already deep in it and staring at me as I ate lunch. And but it, you know, it was just one of those things. You wish for these opportunities as an actor, and yeah, I'm truly grateful.
Thank you. Moises, you're very early on in your career right now, and you get to work alongside 2 big-time veterans, and you've been great so far, showcasing that you have way more talent than I do. I would be very intimidated to go against these 2, but you look just like it's effortless for you. Was there any intimidation on your part to take on this role, and how was it working on this project?
It's always tough, definitely, you know, coming in and, you know, meeting everyone and getting right to it. That's sort of how it's always been. But me and Clifton shot a film like 14 years ago, and that was one of the first films I had ever done, and to come back and shoot something with Cliff all these years later, and it be one of the, you know, this like Clint was saying, is a film that documents, you know, these real jockeys' lives and the trainers' lives. So to be in such a special film with Cliff again, and our first scene being that intimate moment, just kind of felt natural and just, yeah, it wasn't effortless, but it was, it flowed.
Cool, awesome. Cliff, did it make you feel old that it was 14 years ago and like he's here now with you and growing up? You're cognizant of that?
No.
Of time? No, he's none at all. Good. Let me ask you a question regarding this film. Is a really good example, I feel, of representation, inclusivity, without having to make it that overtly. I think the opening of the film, Clifton comes out, says "Buenas," and that's just it. And just we continue on with the story. Did you have in your mind that there would be a Latino in the lead role, or is it just one of those blind castings?
No, well, you know, we did only because we wrote the role for Clifton. So in knowing that, when we were creating the project, but it was something that I think Clifton threw out the Buenas that morning, and it's something that it's always, when you have a character who can just be the character, and of course everything in their life and everything in their background influences who they are as that character, but it doesn't define them. And that's something that he brought to that role so beautifully. That's when it just feels right, and it feels like what we want to see as audiences.
What I notice here, I'm really taken by the cinematography by Adolfo, who's like kills it, and then the music by The National, Aaron and Bryce Desner. How did that affect the actors on set? Because I know Clifton has a really good story about the horse, finding the horse while walking back. I didn't know if you wanted to share that particular, or Clint, whoever wants to.
I would like to hear from you guys. You had said something early on, and maybe you all talked about it, of just Adolfo, the way he shot. We shot so much with natural light, as you might have noticed. But then Adolfo also, the lenses that we were on pretty wide open lenses, and so the camera would be like right there in your face a lot of the time, which I can imagine might be a little.
I didn't notice. Did you notice?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Molly?
You know, we'd shot the scene with my your mother earlier that
Which
day.
I never met. Kind of fitting.
And then after that, we had to go shoot the scene with the wild Mustangs coming to visit us. And you know, we've got no horse wrangler. There's none. So we get out to the park, and I'm in cowboy boots. We're walking. You know, you're walking on rocks with cowboy boots, not safe, but you're carrying gear too. We're all wearing multiple hats and helping, because there's a crew of 10, wonderful, dedicated crew of 10. And we got one shot off, not facing the sun. It was the opposite direction. And you can't chase wild Mustangs. You just can't, because they hear you and they're very sensitive. And the sun was going down. It was getting late. And we'd gotten a shot that would have worked. Yeah. Yeah. So as the sun was going down, I realized, like, okay, well, it's getting late. It's about to get dark, and I got cowboy boots. And it's not safe to walk back on rocks. So I said, hey, guys, it's getting dark. We can't chase horses. I'm going to head back to base camp, which was like 3 miles up the river. So now I'm walking towards the sunset, because the sun's coming down. And the crew was so far behind me, I couldn't even hear them anymore. So I knew I was by myself. And I just had this moment. We had 4 days of just beautiful, like, there are these moments in independent filmmaking where these days pass by and these magical events happen where you can't believe it happened, but you're just so grateful. You're like, wow, like, 4 days of magic. It's like, I just looked up and I was like, I'm grateful for these 4 days. If you're just showing me what could be, then we'll keep going, but could you please stay with us? Because that would be really rad. So I sat down and I just started skimming rocks on the water like a little kid does, and watching the mayflies jump off, and then suddenly I heard this clop, clop, clop. I was like, oh shit. And I slowly looked up, and this big, beautiful, white dominant mare was just stomping her feet in the water, nostrils were flaring, the back of her hair was up, and I was like, okay. if she comes towards me, I'm gonna go left or right, parry her, grab the mane, and she's gonna take me wherever the fuck she is. And then she turned around to exit, and she needed to cross frame. Nobody told her, so she starts to leave, and then I kind of got up and put my hand up, and then I slowly started to drop down to her eye line, and then she drops her head, which is the scene you see in the movie. She drops her head and sways her tail, and then turns back towards me, and then continues to walk, and then 4 of the little wild Mustangs follow behind her. And it was one of the most magical moments, because she looked me right in the eye, and I looked at her, and it was just her and I. Nobody else in the world existed.
And Adolfo,
and
who
then
shot it and caught it all on film.
it's over, and you're like, you don't know. But I knew Adolfo had been having me, and I was hopeful, and I looked over my shoulder, and there he was on his belly, 30 feet behind me. He had broken down the mini Airy by himself, went up stealth because he didn't scare the horses away, and was there, and he got it. Adolfo's a badass.
As we sit in this time where we've just come out of a very traumatic 20 months and we look forward, there's a lot of regret. There's a lot of like wondering of like what could have been, what you should have done. What is the one message you want everyone to kind of take with them?
I think there's just such heart in this movie, and I guess that's what I get. I mean, I've seen this movie a couple times. I absolutely love it, and it makes me happy. And this person's struggle, and where he gets to in that last shot, which is pretty enigmatic, but I feel like he's going to be okay, and we're all going to be okay. So maybe there's that.
All of those jockeys were going through so much, and it just reminds you that everybody's going through something. You just don't know. We need a little more kindness and understanding and patience and love.
We shot this right before everything started to really go crazy, and I think it's a beautiful thing that we created something right before then, and we're standing here now, and it's being shown in a theater full of people. I mean, it's been 2 years, so thank you, and yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Yeah.
Close this out, sir.
In this moment, no,
Oh.
for real, like, yeah.
They all said it very eloquently. I think the only thing rewatching it, it's personal to me, but it became personal to all of us. All of our lives went into it in the way they built out their characters, and a lot of that is taking trauma and knowing that all of us live with that trauma and carry it with us, but it doesn't have to be the thing that defines you moving forward, and you can move out of it into something beautiful. Yeah.
Make art with it.
Make art with it in your life.
Make art and touch people's hearts.
I start rhyming now. All right. Listen, thank you very much for joining. Everyone, that was a contractual obligation at the top of the Q&A. You have
Thank
to
you all
tell
for
everyone
agreeing.
about Jockey. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for sharing that film with us. And everyone, please be safe and enjoy the rest of AFI. Congratulations, you guys. Jockey is incredible.
Thank you all for coming.